right now because we're live right now.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, wouldn't it be funny if the next time we're like talking and then as soon like you start the stream and then I'm like, and that's what she said. She forgot the cheese, and then we all start laughing for no reason, and they're like, "Oh, you missed the best joke ever. Sorry, chat room."
Sorry, chat room. We were totally being inclusive and exclusive at the same time. Hi guys, how are you?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
How's the chat room? Nobody's talking yet, so I don't know if we're up yet. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I'm watching this that Doritos, not Doritos,
Oh, it's
that Taco
up.
Bell
It's just,
commercial.
yeah, you're seeing commercial stuff.
Yeah,
I'm tweeting the deets right now, so we got it. All right.
Yes, I am.
Let me
There we
switch
go.
this up so I can see better. There we go. Hi,
I like
20.
that setup. I like that setup now with the three
Isn't it cool?
hosts on there. I like that.
That was thanks to Navox. He took care of doing those little 3 blocks, and it's a nice little layer that I can put on there, and it's perfect. So I've got it. If I wanted to, I could flip back to our other scene, which has the 2 of us on it. So I could be like,
oh yeah,
you could be like, oh look, we're here tonight, and it's Jules and Mark Harnan, and look, we have a special guest. Her name is Geri Lawson. Boom.
That would be awesome. That's awesome.
So look who we have here. I see Bomb in the chat room.
Oh, of course. First one in. You know
Hey,
it.
Teddy. Hey, Dev.
Hi, Deb. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so I've got the tweets tweeted out. Got all that set up. Ladies and gentlemen, in the chat room before pre-show, this is Geri Lawson. She's going to be our guest tonight, and we are super excited to have her. So, yay! We're gonna be doing a thing. We got a lot of stuff on this notes thing tonight, so we'll see if we stay at 2 hours or under. We'll have to see.
Hey, that's all right. We've been going about 2 hours, maybe a little bit over, but it's always been good stuff.
Podcast format, it's usually around an hour 50 is where the sweet spot's been. You know, it's a once a week podcast. It's okay. I'm okay with that. There have been times where I'm thinking maybe we should just like ease back the amount of content each week, and then it's just like no, we found our good spot. We found our sweet spot. So oh my gosh, you guys, there's a lot of you in here tonight.
Sure is.
Oh, look at all these people. I haven't seen my parents yet though.
All these beautiful people here to talk to us tonight.
They want to hear what we have to say on this show.
You know, I got a direct message from, what's his face? What's his name?
Commander
doing the Lockheed
Buttmunch?
Journal. No, Odinus for doing a Lockheed Journal. And he said something. He's like, so I have a Draenei voice on episode 2. Would you be interested? And I said, yes. And so he's a bad guy. So it's going to have to be evil Draenei.
Oh, you're being asked to do Gollum now.
Oh, I
Deb's
am.
asking you to do Gollum.
Oh man, I haven't actually done that in a while. I don't think since BlizzCon, but I might be able to manage it. Good evening, Dev. It's good to see you. Your daughter's here with us tonight. She's gonna have a good time with us. She is.
Oh my god.
No, you're not gonna do anything bad to her, are you? Oh, I might. I just don't know yet. I love you, Dev.
That was the creepiest "I love you" I've ever heard in my life, Mark Conan.
Yeah, well, you know, it comes from a creepy place. So
It really does come from a creepy place. Oh, okay. You have to hear. I have to tell you guys the story from the other day about Arcane, because the poor guy, he has been trying so darn hard. His character on Airy Peak is named Zareth, and he's always wanted to have the Arcane name on Airy Peak, but somebody else has it. It's somebody sitting on a level 70 hunter named Arcane, which is spelled Arcayne. And he has tried now twice to get it changed by a dev to say, you know, this person hasn't leveled their character. I want to get the name, because sometimes you can do that. And no, they've told him no. So the last time he tried, they said, well, you know, there is the one we can free up, and it's Arcane with a K. So it's Arkayne. And it really looks, if you look at it quickly, it looks like Arcanye. So, so somebody, one of our dear friends who is probably in the chat room tonight, went out and made a Twitter handle for our dear arcane mage that says our Kanye mage, and started to tweet him this way.
Oh man, oh man. Yo, I'm gonna let you finish, but Frost is the best DPS spec we got right here in these mages.
Poor Kane has been now,
Kanye.
so now he's dealing with, and he's probably, because they did change his name for him.
So he is our Kanye?
It's not our Kanye, it's Arcane with a K, but it so looks like our Kanye that everybody's going to be calling him our Kanye, and I feel really bad.
I'll call him Arcane. I won't be mean.
Yes. And Jerry, Arcane is my husband. That is my husband.
I put
So
them together, yes.
yeah, and so he's the poor guy. He's just he's been struggling. He wanted that name so bad, and they're never gonna give it to him on Airy Peak. So because he had it on Worm Rest Accord, and he couldn't get it to come over this way. So
I was kind of looking at Twitter, and the guy who has @Marconin hasn't tweeted since 2009.
oh,
And so I tried looking to see if there was a way I could get Marconin reserved or taken by it.
yeah.
And everything I say, it says it's got to be, you have to be like a celebrity or something, or like it has to be purposefully impersonating you. But I may see if I can try and work that out, because I know Scott Johnson had his changed.
Yeah.
And I know Nate
they
Nate
have
get his
actually
changed this week.
Who?
Nate, because I know he was Shield Bearer.
Yeah.
CTR. Now he's Nate CTR. Nate, how'd you do that? Are you in the chat room? Is he? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could tell me how you did that, if it's easy to do, I would appreciate that, because then I'd have to change all of my Twitter handles.
I've heard of people who've actually bribed other people, like who've found the person who had it on Twitter and like offered them money for the name.
Yeah,
through PayPal
I've
or
seen
that kind of thing.
too.
But apparently, if you have a trademark on a name, so like for a business, if somebody has a Twitter handle that is a business name, you have a trademark on it, then they'll release it. But other than that, Twitter still doesn't have a way for them to release like defunct usernames for that people aren't using, and it's kind of silly. So because there are so many people who would be like, I want this username, and they haven't tweeted since 2010 or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what they're saying in there. Yeah, Arcane on Twitter is the one with the K. One tweet and a couple years ago. So yeah, you just have to hope that person's going to delete their account at some point, and then they don't. So anyway,
I may have to trademark Marconin then. Wonder how much
seriously.
a trademark is.
A lot. Isn't that a lot? It's like $200-$300, and you got to go through all those hoops to do it.
No, it might be worth it. We'll see.
Might be worth it. We'll have to see about that. So
yeah, I might have to see about that.
That's funny. So, yeah, Jerry, how long have you been using Twitter? Have you been on there for a while?
Like probably 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. I just started because my campus wants us to get a little bit more social media savvy to kind of promote. And so I picked Twitter. A lot of my colleagues were picking Facebook and just didn't want to go that route. So Twitter seems safe enough,
You're in the cool crowd then.
Yeah. It's where I have to be. Cool crowd. I'm liking it.
I'm gonna adjust the volume just a little bit here and give you a little boost, just so we can hear you guys a little bit better. Test 1 2.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just say hi to me again.
Hello.
Mark Honan, say hi to me.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
Hi to me.
Okay. I'm gonna bring that down just a little bit. So
was I a little loud?
Yeah, it's just Jerry's a little soft, you're a little loud, so I'm bringing it to the middle there. So there we go. Awesome. A trademark lawyer in the house. Thanks. All right. I have got everything set. How's the balance, you guys? How's chat room balance? Voice sounding, lovely sound stuff.
Sounds, noise, words.
There's things on the internet that we're saying. And it takes 30 seconds for them to hear us say this stuff.
Oh, okay. Now
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Yep. See how it's like delay, delay. Oh,
Chat room's balance is great.
well, that's perfect. I love it.
Yay.
That's perfect.
Okie dokie.
Thank you, Chief Fulgen. Okie dokie. All right. I'm ready. Marconin, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Jerry, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Chat room, are you guys ready?
Let me hear ya. Come on, it's time to go on the show. Chat room, let's go. You ready?
I've been watching Babylon 5. I've been watching a ton of Babylon 5 lately, and so all I do is want to talk like Lando Mollari. My good dear friend, Marconin. My good dear friend.
I may have to watch that. And
Oh, God, you
copy
would
that.
love Lando. You would love him. He's so funny, and he's like, oh, it's crazy. So, Lando Mollari, that's what his name is. And this very, very weird, I don't even know what the accent is. It's just this weird accent. All right,
Sounds
chat
like a
room's
mix of a
ready.
few.
We're ready. I think it's time to do a show. I'm going to count it down. And we will go in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Tauren Think Tank, the World of Warcraft podcast for you, the World of Warcraft player.
Welcome to episode 131 of Tauren Think Tank. It is Saturday, January 24th of 2015. I am Jules, and I am here with not one, but two people. The first person you know, he is the man of many voices, of many different talents, and many different mounts. His name is Marconin.
Good evening, Jules. How are you?
See, there's a voice right there.
There is one among many.
One among very, very many, and I think more are about to come throughout the night. We've just already been throwing voices all over the place on the pre-show.
It is a good
Golem
chance.
was crazy.
It's been pretty awesome. And that second voice that you heard is tonight's special guest. Her name is Geri Lawson, and she is a professor at the Cal State University Long Beach. She is a Department of English professor focusing in gender and queer studies. She is amazing, and you guys are going to love her. It's Geri Lawson.
Hello.
Welcome, Geri.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. It's going to be an interesting conversation. So.
It is. We are going to have a lot of fun. I found out about Geri because we have a friend in the Convert to Raid Guild. Her name is Devlin, and it happens to be that Geri is her daughter. And she had introduced she had introduced me to Geri, and I was like, oh my gosh, she does all this really cool stuff, and she has presented at Comic-Cons, and she's been published, and it's all this great stuff about things that just so happen to be sitting in our mailbox. And so it was the perfect match. We're so excited to have you here, and guys, buckle in because we got a lot of stuff.
Are you ready?
I know I'm ready. I don't know if the rest of you guys are ready, but the chat room is calling you Mini Dev, so just be...
Oh, great. I guess I can embrace that.
Well, she is very, very highly revered amongst the Convert to Raid guildies, and so having yourself named as Mini Dev is pretty much you've been crowned the queen, the princess of the queen. So
I'm Dev's number 1 fan, believe me. So.
And I think
Nothing
she's
wrong with
yours
that.
too. So as I talked about in the introduction for Geri, she is she's a professor. She is a presenter. She has been a published author for academic presses, and doing a whole bunch of different things. And she teaches English, which I loved. I was actually I had a minor in English. I was this close to having a double major if I had just figured out my crap before I graduated.
Easier said than done in college, though. So.
I know. So I wound up not doing it, but I probably should have. I probably should have had a double major in English. So I'm wishing now I was living in California and could go and like hang out and see your classes because this would be the best.
Love it.
I know. So, and also, Geri is a WoW player. She has started playing WoW within the last, was it about the last month or so?
About a month, yeah. I actually just played this afternoon, so yeah.
So where are you playing and what are you playing?
Okay, so I got into game obviously from my mom, and I am playing let's see, I don't know all of this terminology, but I have a human paladin who's at level 17 right now.
Nice.
On Airy Peak, I want to say.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. You're with us.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, they're helping me level. I have my mom and some friends that I met at Smash Bash, actually, at BlizzCon, helping me level up right now. So it's really fun. I've tried to avoid playing for a very long time because I knew I'd get sucked in. And I met all these great people at Smash Bash, and I was like, I think it's time. So.
And you are a Hearthstone player. You've been playing Hearthstone for a while.
Oh, yes. I'm obsessed with Hearthstone. If I could play that 24/7, I would. So, yeah. It's bad. It's bad. So you spent today leveling and kind of learning the ropes for the game. What is the thing right now in the game that's caught most of your attention? What's the thing right now where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about that? Probably how to get around Stormwind City. That is the most difficult thing for me because I get lost constantly. But my mom took me around on a mount to kind of show me around, and so we kind of flew around the city, and that helped. But yeah, I mean, it's for me. What's really interesting is that I'm seeing all these characters from Hearthstone, right, in real life, in WoW. So I'm kind of getting at it the opposite way than most of you would when you see all these characters in Hearthstone. So yeah, it's been really, really fun.
Awesome.
That is pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my first time seeing Stormwind City when I first got there, and I ran up to it because at that time there weren't people who you knew who had mounts that would take you around. So
I get hooked up.
You were totally hooked up. I ran up to the gates and I was like, I can't do this, and I turned around and I ran back.
It's overwhelming, but it's so pretty and it's so interesting. But yeah, it's totally overwhelming.
Oh, that's awesome. And Marconin, what have you been up to this weekend? Wow, what's happening with you?
Oh, well, first off, I want to say congratulations to the Ice Crown Challenge, which finished up in the last week, and they went double their goal, and we were able to raise over $1,000 for American suicide prevention. And so big congrats to Ratzel for organizing that and for coming up and challenging me, and for all the people that went for it and really made it public. And so I think she said she'll try it again. We're going to do it again sometime, and whenever it is, I'll do it again because it was a cool idea and it was really neat. And I mean, that money's going to a good cause, so there's nothing wrong with that at all.
And just for a reminder of what the Ice Crown Challenge was, it was if you went in by yourself to solo Ice Crown and you took the amount of time that it took to solo it was the amount of money you would donate towards the Suicide Prevention Association. Okay.
Yeah, or you could. I mean, as long as you donated, really. So,
okay. I
mean, you didn't. That was the rule. But if you couldn't donate, you need to donate a little bit less or a little bit more, just whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it was really cool. I like that idea.
Awesome. Well, thank you for participating in that. That's really cool.
Well, yeah, I like I was telling you guys before, I soloed it anyway for the mount, which I don't have to anymore, thankfully, because I got the mount. So I just did it anyway. So might as well do it for a good cause,
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, I had to shave this morning because I'd grown up quite a large beard because all I did this week was live in my garrisons. And I didn't see the light of day. I have 300 characters, and my troll mage is 94 now. And so whenever I'm not actively doing something, I'm just keeping the missions going on my 4 garrisons, which is interesting.
4 garrisons now?
4 garrisons now. Only 3 of them at tier 3.
Yeah.
But of course, Marconan's is the best one. I finally got one of those high mall raid missions and got a trinket, a normal trinket. So I had a good upgrade from that. But yeah, just mining, herbing, salvage yarding, dwarven bunkering, the whole thing. With the swing shifts this week for work, that's all I really had time for. But now I am on days for the next month.
Yes.
So I can raid with Cat on Fire. I can see the sun. I can not fall asleep at odd times. Yeah, Kitlin in the chat room said Draenor is outside Marconi. You really should go. Really. I mean,
Marconin Draenor's outside.
oh, there's things to see outside.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna break into song right now.
I know, yeah. But,
I'm so excited you're gonna be able to raid with us again, though. That's gonna be
too.
awesome.
It's gonna be great. I can't wait to raid again. I really love raiding. I wish I had more opportunities to do it, but I'm just happy for the chances I'll have in the next month. Yeah. Other than that, like this is kind of wild, but kind of real life. If you were in the chat room last week, you noticed that my lighting kind of fell over, and so I had to fix it real quick. So what I did today is I went to Home Depot, bought some support beams and some things to secure it, so it's a little. Hey, it didn't fall down. It's nice and sturdier. And so today, you can't see it on the chat, but I'm wearing my Tauren University shirt because I'm an alumni of Tauren University up in Northrend. And so I went to Home Depot, found my stuff, went to the checkout lane, and the guy at the self-checkout, he looked over at me when I'm checking out, and he's like, "Oh, dude." And I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Love your shirt, man. It's World of Warcraft." He's like, "That makes my day." That made my day, and the gal who was checking me out was just kind of smiling and nodding. Maybe she played, I don't know, but I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm a mage. I had to go to Tauren University." He's like, "That's cool, dude. That's cool. That made my day." So I'm glad to make somebody's day wearing a WoW T-shirt. So
absolutely, with someone working at Home Depot, and they're like, "Yeah, it's my people."
Yeah, yeah. It's just really cool to. That's why I like wearing my nerd shirts out in public, because like I have a shirt with a flux capacitor on it that doesn't just say, "Hey, this is a Back to the Future T-shirt." You actually kind of have to know a little bit about it, and then you get the real fans that are like, "I like your shirt." And so it's always cool to do that. Your shirt is so
hipster, it's painful. It's like it's not saying flux capacitor on it. You gotta know.
Well, I didn't want it to be flashy. You know, I didn't want everybody was like, "Hey, that was a movie once." I wanted the real fans to know me.
I
like flux capacitors before they were cool, back in the 80s. Not in 2015, where my self-lacing shoes and my Jaws 16 movie isn't out yet.
Yeah, seriously.
Gotta wait for October.
Gotta wait till October. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's about it for me.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well,
what about you?
Yeah, you mentioned Cat on Fire, and we had a really good week this week in Raid. We actually went 6 of 7 normal and 2 of 7 heroic. So that was really cool. Did not plan on doing the heroic butcher, which was kind of thrown together. And we got 2 awesome little ringers that came in the form of Air and Glaive, who just kind of came in on their main characters that are mythic raiders and mythically geared. And we were like, "Oh, your DPS is really, really good." So it wound up turning out to work out well for us. I think we took them down in 4 tries.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was great. We were having a blast, and we had we had a really good time. It was just like the just blasting through stuff and having good gear drop, and we still haven't really gotten rid of any gear yet. So people are still taking it, still needing it, and so I hope this week we're gonna try the last one. Imperator is gonna be our challenge. So
well, I'll study up for it then.
Yeah,
I want to take him down.
We've got it down to a science on most of the other ones, so it's pretty good. So we're doing well. The thing I find interesting right now is the challenge with just making sure that gear is the right setting. Because you've got options for Master Looter, where the raid leader takes all the loot and distributes it out. And then you've got now the personal loot, where it's just, whoever gets loot, and that's it. And it's all about making sure that your team is happy. And I thought the team would be like, "Oh, personal loot, what I get, I get. And what I don't, I don't." And they said, "No, we really like the Master Looter, where everybody gets to roll on different loot, and then we get to determine who gets it." But it is the funniest thing on our team, because it's usually our gear drama is when people go, "No, you take the gear. No, you need it more than me. You got to take it. I don't want to get it, even though I rolled higher than you." So
no, I insist. No, I insist.
I'm not taking gear this run. I mean, that's what's been happening with these people, and it's just insane. So it's been we've been having a good time with it, and so I look forward to raid night every Monday. It's just like, it's raid night, and everybody in group me is like, it's raid night. So that's what we've been doing in World of Warcraft. We are going to start tonight with our discussion topic, which is going to be kind of letting you guys get to know Geri a little bit, and also to take a question, a topic from one of our listeners who wrote us. So with that, I'm going to play the discussion bumper, and we are going to go. Here it is.
Let's kick around some ideas, not gnomes.
That is great.
That was our the brainchild of Marconin and I, and that little gnome is Marconin. So So we're going to get into some of the things that Geri specializes in, what she is here for. And part of that is her focus on queer and gender theory. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that is. And one of the things I wanted to start with when we talk about gender theory, Geri, is it can be somewhat of a nervous term, especially for those who might be a little bit, let's say, male. There's
that.
Well,
How
I don't
about
feel
that?
on the spot.
So when you hear the word, gender theory, feminism, all of those types of things, and you are a guy listening to the show, what is here right now to make us to say, don't turn this off, just keep listening, please?
Well, okay, we have to address the F word, so feminism. That's the starting point. I guess you could think of it, feminism at its core is just the idea that groups of people shouldn't be oppressed, that there should be equality. So if you can kind of take that as your first step, we take it a step further and we say that if you believe that women shouldn't be discriminated against, shouldn't be abused, shouldn't be raped, denied health services, should get equal pay, then I think you're a feminist, if you can agree with that statement. So that, to me, I think is inclusive of male, female, doesn't matter, trans. If you can get on board with that, then you can consider yourself a feminist. So, and then also, if for the males out there, I'm sure you have women in your life that you care about. And so if you want to make sure that these things don't happen to them, because they're happening quite a bit, even today, then you should consider yourself a feminist too. And you should be concerned with trying to make sure that these things don't happen anymore. And, there's a lot of stats out there about this that are maybe surprising about how women are treated in America. And, if you even just look at, so women make up 50% of the population, right? 50 to 51%, depending. But they comprise only 20% of Congress. So if we take a stat like that, we think, why is that? That seems problematic, right? So that would be something that feminists would look into and try to understand and maybe solve. So,
Good.
And there's lots of, stats like that out there that are surprising. So, I mean, I think it's definitely an inclusive movement. Of course, there are many feminists who would disagree with me, but that's why we have discussion and debate. So I think the more allies you can have for whatever movement you're conducting is good. So, yeah.
So when you say you focus in gender theory, can you explain what that means?
Okay, so if we're talking about gender theory, basically, and this is, inclusive of men, trans, whatever as well, because basically what we're looking at is how do we view gender, specifically for me in America? How do we view it? How does it inform the choices that, government makes, that we make in our daily lives, that is represented in media? I like to focus more in on sort of pop culture and how gender is represented or misrepresented, how we identify what gender even means. So that's kind of, that's gender theory, I guess. I mean, it's much more complicated than that, but
yes.
All of these, like gender theory, race studies, LGBT studies, queer studies, they're all closely tethered. So you can't really talk about one without talking about the other. It's all about trying to understand how these dynamics work, and how they kind of influence us without really knowing that they are.
How did you get started with the focus on queer and gender theory?
Well, okay, so college happened. I had a couple of really great professors that I was inspired by. The feminism thing just started with music. I got really into punk scene in high school, got really into Riot Girl music. Bikini Kill, Sleater Kenny were these like really cool girls who were just really angry and singing about it. And I thought it was awesome. And I wanted to be them. So I got kind of into it that way. And then once I got into college, I realized that there was like actual intellectual conversations about this. It wasn't just about being angry or performing in that way. It was about understanding it more. And I had a really great professor in a women's poetry class, which was really interesting. And she was awesome. And I said, what's this feminism thing all about? I think I kind of am interested in it. And she gave me a bunch of stuff to read, and then I just became obsessed. So it was really liberating for me to know that I could kind of, I don't know, gain some power from thinking about these things, and help other people who maybe don't have that power kind of find it. So, and then that led into, as I got deeper into academia, this whole queer theory, queer studies, to me was incredibly liberating, because then I realized that we could kind of start to break down the shame that we feel when it comes to sexuality and gender, why that happens. And I guess we'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think this is a good point right now to talk about what queer theory means, because I'm not sure a lot of people do. I know when I sat down and talked with you this week, I learned a tremendous amount just talking with you. Yeah, and it was great. And so I'd like to take that time right now just to kind of briefly explain what queer theory and queer studies is.
Okay. There's a lot of information here, so I'm going to try to break it down as simply as possible. And if anything is sounding strange or you want more clarification, or anybody in chat, just let me know if you need me to slow down. But essentially, so like I said, all of these different movements are very closely connected. LGBT, theory and activism, obviously extremely important, but this is a little different from queer studies. When we're talking about queer studies, we're looking at kind of the archaic definition of queer as being anything that's considered strange. And so what we do is we look at why do we view certain sexualities as strange? Why do we feel shame about them? So it is tied to sexuality. Essentially, there's this idea of binary thinking, of an either or mentality. So either you are masculine or feminine, either you are gay or straight, either you are normal or you're deviant, right? And so binary thinking is harmful. We can say that, to think that you have to fit in this either or pattern. What we do when we're studying this is look at how these experiences of gender and sexuality actually exist on a spectrum. So meaning on any given day, I can lean more masculine as opposed to feminine, or I can exist anywhere on the spectrum. My sexuality can exist anywhere on the spectrum. I don't have to be just gay or straight, for instance. And there are many people who do feel like, I am a little bit close to that binary extreme, and that's fine. But you should be able to choose that. Okay. And so that's kind of the idea, is we want to break out of binary thinking. We want to break out of either or mentalities. And then that becomes liberating, because then you get to kind of create your own identity. You get to articulate how you identify sexually, how you identify when it comes to gender. So that's kind of putting the power back in your hands. The reason why this is important, because binary thinking is used to oppress people, okay? And it becomes political in that way. When you think about what is considered normal, for instance, a lot of times what's considered normal in America, being straight, being having money, I hate to say it, but being a white male, okay?
I got all of that, but the money.
I know.
I got all of it but money.
I'm not meaning to alienate here, but
It's okay.
it's okay. You can't help how you're born, right? But
Yeah.
when you think of the people in power, like if you watch the State of the Union,
Yep.
if you look at who is in Congress, let's say, a majority
Oops.
white, upper class, heterosexual males. And so when that happens, these are the people in power, then they, of course, are going to make decisions that benefit them, right?
Yes.
And so
it's never
what
about the
happens?
people.
No. It's all about personal interest. And so like that stat I gave you before about, women in Congress, this is also true with minorities,
Yeah.
I mean, we could go across the board. And so even though things are changing slightly, there's still a lot of work to be done. And so what we do is we try to say, okay, these people in power are making these choices. They are creating these sorts of ideas of what is normal. And so what that is it's socially constructed.
Mm-hmm.
What we consider normal sexually, or when it comes to gender, or so on and so forth, is a social construction, meaning groups of people come together and they create this meaning. And the groups of people who create the meaning are the people who are typically in power, okay, in any given society. Is this making sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it works with any aspect of society as well.
Yes.
Yeah, just whoever frames it.
Exactly. It just depends on where your interests lie. So the social construction then, what we do is we grow up with that ideal. We internalize that ideal. And if it doesn't change around us, we continue to internalize it. And then we start to feel shame because we don't fit within that ideal. Okay. And so what we do is we say, a social construction isn't real. It's not real at all. It's constructed, meaning we can break it down and rebuild it, right? And so that's really the agenda of queer theory and studies, is to queer that normalness, right? To challenge it, and then to recreate and rebuild our own identities sexually, when it comes to gender, so on and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is, when you were talking, I was thinking about something that I found really interesting, and it was right before I saw this, before we started the show tonight. I watched this thing on Oxygen Network, of all things, don't hate me, and it was something I recorded because I saw it on a preview, and it was called Living Different. It was this series of 4 parts. It was called, and it was this special, kind of following these people around, and they called it Living Different. And these 2 people that they focused on, one of them was an androgynous model. It was a female. And she looked very, very masculine, but she dated both men and women. She modeled as both a man and a woman. And it was very, very fascinating to watch her, because she was trying to deal with her father, who did not accept her for being, and she moved to New York City. She started this modeling career, started becoming very successful. And she's just like, I date both. I date both men and women. I have, I look like a man sometimes, but I can look totally like a woman in other ways. And she's like, and she called it gender fluidity, is how she called it.
Yeah.
And I was completely fascinated by this girl. I was like, because she was so, you could tell she was dealing with so much insecurity and difficulty of acceptance. And they were filming her. She was walking down the streets of New York, and she was very masculinely dressed with like button-down shirt and suspenders and slacks. She had really short hair that was kind of pulled back, but you could tell that she was a woman if you looked. But everybody kept kept looking at her, because, and you could see our mindsets of people trying to figure it out.
Yes,
yeah, you can see the gears turning.
Yeah, and so my question in that respect, is this a learned behavior, or is this something that we are born with, that we expect the either or? We expect man or woman, and when we don't see it, we're trying to make it labeled.
I would say it's definitely learned. I don't think this is something that we're born with. I think just about any sort of perception of the world that we have is learned. And when you talk about this example, there's no being born either or in that context, right?
Right.
On any given day, there's a different sort of performance being made, and that's another part of queer studies too, is the idea that gender and sexuality is performative. That you can perform in any different way at a given time.
Yep.
And that doesn't change the core of who you are. So the fact that, gender or sexuality is a performance means that it can't be born within you. You have to perform it. So yeah, I would say it's definitely learned.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
But I mean, it's arguable. I definitely think other people would say no, but
yeah,
that's
it's such a to me, I was absolutely fascinated because this was two parts of this show. The other one was a lesbian couple, and they had been together for a couple years, and then one of the partners had told her partner that she was going to make the transition from female to male. And so it was then another identity question, both for the partners and for the people around them. And so she was in the one partner was in the midst of transitioning. So she was taking testosterone shots at the time. And her voice was changing, and you could hear the differences from what was happening as they progressed through it. And they went out with their friends, and her friends were like saying to her, well, does that make you a bisexual because you're now dating a man? People trying to put labels on that. And and these poor girls were both sitting there, and they were both like, what do you say to this? We love each other. We want to be with each other. I fell in love with her, and she's becoming a man. And because she feels she was born a man, and that it's just, she was in a woman's body, but a man. And they're trying to understand it. And it was so, cringeworthy, of course, but also fascinating for me to see how people try to process this. And to this day, today in 2015, we still are trying to process this.
Yeah, and people feel comfortable with labels. They feel comfortable labeling something so they can make sense of it. Yeah. You don't have to fit within a category, definitely not. And it's okay to just say, I don't know. Yeah. This is, instead of saying I am gay, straight, or bisexual, let me explain to you what my experience is. This is who I love. This is why I love them. Attraction doesn't work that way. Attraction doesn't work with categories and things like that. So yeah. we try to categorize it to make sense of it. But sometimes it's more comfortable to not try to make sense of it and not try to categorize. So.
I wish that would be more of the case. But unfortunately, we are often raised in a society that tells us that these labels need to be there for acceptance and being able to sit into the society. And that actually brings us to our discussion topic question, which I think blends right into this. So we'll kind of continue with talking about what all of this means. And in this context, from one of our listeners who wrote us and said, "Hi guys, I love the last episode and how it tackled the elephant that is sexuality. Now, this could be just that my pen pal got busy, but once I told him that I was gay, he went silent. Granted, we only exchanged a couple emails, and I know life happens and people get busy. Phones break, email breaks, etc. So my question is, how do you feel about having an LGBT-oriented server in game? Does this reflect on the gaming community and the larger social implication of sexuality and diversity? I played on Proudmoore for years, and it felt much more safe than any other server I'd ever played on. But then cross-realm zones happened, and even playing in raids and battlegrounds changed the dynamic. There were slurs of all kinds, as we all know. But the feeling of safety inside a game as large as WoW is important. What do you think this says about our culture? And I try not to assume that people don't want to be my friend because I am gay, but it's hard, and it's sometimes hurtful. That's why I'm so upfront about it before I get too invested in a new potential friendship. Love you guys, Katie Derry." She wished to maintain anonymity for this email, but it is a female who wrote this, who is gay, and she participated in our pen pal program, and she wrote this as part of our feedback. So with that, I think it is very, in the context of WoW and gaming in general, Geri, do you think that this is something that is needed, or that it's wanted? Is it both?
As far as having this other server to
having a server where you are where the population is dominated more by LGBT players, not necessarily everybody, but it has the tolerance, and people just kind of know it as this is the LGBT server.
I think feeling comfortable is very important, and having a place where you are guaranteed that you're going to be accepted. I don't see a problem with that at all. I think it's unfortunate that there has to be a separate server for there to be that level of comfort. But I think that all of us tend to align or gravitate towards areas where we know people who are similar to us, where we feel safe. So I do think it's very problematic that there has to be this separate space for that. But I don't know how to change that either.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I feel the same way as you do in that respect, where it's like I think it's a good idea for those who want it, but I wish that it wasn't needed. I mean, I think you too, Marconin, right?
Well, yeah, I don't really know if there's no way you could really police it though.
No.
That's the only thing, is there's no way you could police it, or there's no fingerprint scan for LGBT to let you access the server.
Right.
And on the flip side of that, it paints a target on your back, because if you're there, you could have people that go in just to troll, just to insult, just to be mean and hateful. And there's like Proudmoore has the reputation of being an LGBT friendly server, where it has a lot of guilds that are more understanding and not hateful jerks.
Tolerant.
Yeah, and so it you do tend to congregate with people of like minds, of like interests, of like things. So I mean, it just happens naturally as part of the human condition. But I don't know that creating separate but equal doesn't really work.
No.
In history.
No,
be it civil rights or video games. So I don't know that a separate but equal would work. Even if the community did want it, I don't think it would. It wouldn't solve any problems, I don't think.
Right. Well,
it's just
the other thing that you would have in this case is if Blizzard decided that they were going to create a specific server for that purpose, then it is going to cause then it's accepting of the fact of that people are putting labels on themselves to differentiate themselves. And then you would have to have possibly the African American server or the female server.
Yeah, where does it stop?
Exactly. And you would not be able to stop it, and it would be and it would cause so much more frustration and feeling so isolated that your group, the one that you identified with, wasn't given that space.
Sure.
So this is and Proudmoore, Geri, happened organically. They came together organically, where word of mouth spread, and people started saying that, as a gay person, please come to this server. It's a good place to come and hang out. And that's how it became part of it. But what she's talking about with Cross Realm Zones is that they had this kind of organically grown safe haven that they built themselves, and then the company decided that they were going to create this system that would allow different servers to exist on the same realm playing field together.
Yeah, it combats low population servers, where if there weren't many people on the game, you felt like you weren't playing a massively multiplayer online game. So what they would do is they would link the servers together to make it feel like a more immersive environment. And so you get more people from different servers kind of together at the same time.
Yeah. And that in itself caused people to feel, it came on both sides. It was the people from Proudmoore who felt their safe haven was being taken away, and it was from people who didn't have the tolerance from other servers being upset that they were being matched with this server that they didn't agree with. It's horrible. It's really it feels very, very bad. And yet I want people to feel comfortable. I want them to feel like they have a place that they can be themselves and not be judged. And we hear from quite a few people of LGBT who say, I've just had a hard time finding a place like that in my gaming experience. So in gaming, how does that, I mean, obviously it's going to reflect because we create our own societies, but as a gamer, as someone who's in pop culture, do you think that we are more or less tolerant as a community for people that are different?
That is such a tricky question because there are so many times that, I've had more inclusive experiences with, gaming communities. But there is a lot of sexism and racism going on there, and gay bashing. And it's really hard to get away from that. I guess what I would say is that part of what really sucks about being an oppressed person is that you are always going to have to struggle. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be that struggle, at least currently. Okay. So if you are of a minority group, then you're going to come across that no matter where you go. There's not going to be a 100% safe place for you. So I would say that the best thing to do is to take ownership of it. And that's very hard, I understand. But to realize that the only way that people will change their points of view is by being exposed to a human face, or whatever, a toon face, of what that represents. So you have to try to educate people as you go, and expose them to the fact that yes, I might identify lesbian, okay, but I'm still. We can still have fun, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter what your perspective is, and maybe you can even change some people's perspectives and kind of challenge them. So it's hard to do, though, but I definitely think it's doable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know that there's any real safe place, whether it's gaming or anywhere mm-hmm. in the U.S. in the world, where you're not going to come across that at some point.
Right. I completely agree with mm-hmm. you. And so I wonder, as of today, what does this say about our culture right now, when we have the ability to create these communities, virtual communities online, and have connections across internet, Skype, countries, different time zones, all these different cultures of people. Is it improving? Are things getting better?
I do think things are getting better. I think that there's been a lot of movements towards inclusion that we've seen in the U.S. specifically. I still think that there's a ton of work to be done, and that's why there is a need for these sorts of movements and studies, because we have a far way to go. But I do think that our cultures are changing a little bit. I get a little nervous when I think of the cultures that matter to me, like, geek culture, gaming culture, comics, whatever. And I see some of the recent badness out there when it comes to LGBT people, women, how we're being treated. But I do think overall it's moving towards a better spot, a better place.
What can we do now as gamers to help each other?
I think, first of all, you can take interest in understanding what all this means. So do a little bit of research about these terms and these movements that are happening. So education, I think, is number one. I think being able to kind of go out there and speak to people about this stuff that can kind of be uncomfortable sometimes. Speak to your friends about it. The number one thing you can do is stop people from saying things that are uncomfortable, even if it makes you uncomfortable. So, and that's the really hard part is a lot of times when we want to tease each other, we will use terms that we shouldn't use to describe teasing. So, if somebody says something like "that's so gay," to describe something, you should probably stop them and say, "Hey, I don't think that's an appropriate way to phrase that." Yep. It takes a lot to do that, especially with people that you care about. But I think changing the way that we use language is really important. And so for that awkward moment, for that to happen and then you can move on, I think is important. Mm-hmm. So it's little steps. Little steps really, really matter. You're not going to go out there and, march Washington and, change everything overnight. But just showing interest in these things and making small little movements, I think, are important.
Yeah. I think, the Pen Pal program was something that I purposely did not focus on somebody's sexual preference as something that we added in for matching people. Because my hope was that people were going to have an opportunity to get to know someone that was different than them in any number of ways. Different part of the country, different part of the world, if they wanted somebody who was not from the United States, or from the United States if they didn't live here. And so, I hope that in a situation where we have someone like this who is a lesbian female, and she says, I want to get to know somebody new, and when I tell them who I am, they don't respond to that anymore. That's what I want to change. That is the something that I would want to say is, if you did get matched up with somebody who, or you met somebody on a raid team that was different than you, that you took a couple minutes to learn about who they were, really learn who they were, without judgment first. And because I think we do that quite a bit, when we don't have faces, when we don't have the ability to view someone's face and say, this is the person that I know, and all you have is the person and they are in game and maybe the voice behind the voice chat in Mumble or on Skype, you're dealing with a different set of cues than you're normally used to. So we try and put a label. Oh, that sounds like a girl. How many times have we had this in gaming? And we've talked about this where you're just, when you log in and start playing with somebody new and they're like, oh, you're a girl? Because it is something that is different. And so for me, I don't think that it is necessary for us to have a place in World of Warcraft or any gaming area that is specifically designated for a certain minority group, as you put it, or if it's something that needed to feel like I needed to be in a protected state of some sort. And so I don't want that. I don't want that in this world. Yeah. So why would I want that in my games?
Exactly.
Mark Conan, did you have anything about this specific topic that kind of stuck out to you?
Well, you were saying that, your intention, what can we do to, for people to give people that we're not familiar with, the different lifestyles, different life choices, more of an opportunity as far as learning about them as a person, like in Katie Derry's story about what can we do for that other person that just shuts them out, if that's what happened. There's not really anything we personally can do. It's that person and kind of their change of heart and their change of their understanding. All we can do is try to, like you were saying, put a face to the voice, put a face to the text, and it's more of a change of heart than personally. It's something they personally have to decide. There's nothing we can really, we can't really beat them over the head with anything. It wouldn't work. So it's just it's unfortunate when this stuff happens because no matter what, no matter who you choose to love, you're still a human being, and there's should be a bit of a respect no matter what. So. But it's unfortunate that we're not perfect like that. Can't really help that.
No, it's not, and it's frustrating because I, personally want to see all the people who play World of Warcraft feel like they have their place, their comfort zone. And it can be something as simple as I like to PvP versus I like to raid. Or I like to go and fish my character for 4 hours. I go out and fish for 4 hours because that's how I play my game. I mean, when we do this, it doesn't have to be related to gender or sexual preference. It is based on how people choose to live their lives because we judge. We all do it. And that is, and I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that. Is like, why we have this picture in our head that we say to somebody, you should be this way and you're not when you do this. And therefore I don't find that, I don't appreciate that, or I don't like it, or I don't connect with it, instead of learning more about, why does that person like to stand for 4 hours and fish in World of Warcraft? And that's the only thing that they like to do. In this week, for instance, there was somebody there was an article that went out and it said that there's a player who has leveled 100 characters to level 100 since the release of Warlords of Draenor.
Wow.
And we go, holy crap. So why do we say holy crap?
Well, because because it's it's different. It's the very first time. It's something out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Not everybody has 100 hundreds. So it's
No,
just
but I can tell you the range of things that people were probably thinking when I just said that. You probably thought, holy crap, that's a lot of work. Holy crap, this guy has more time on his hands than he should. Holy crap, I could never level that amount of time that many times over and over again. Holy crap, how does he afford 2 accounts? All of those things that we judge on someone who did this accomplishment, it became news because it was queer. It was different.
Yeah.
That is a
Definitely.
queer behavior. If you, I don't know if it really fits into the definition, Jerry, but it is an alternate behavior. Not
Sure,
everybody does
sure.
this.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
No. I mean, you can definitely use the word that way. Yeah.
So I'm learning too. So
I do want to just point one thing out that I just in the way that we're talking about this, when we say that people have made a choice to live a certain way, for most people it isn't a choice.
Yeah.
And so I do want to make that really clear, that it's not about choosing anything. It's just, this is who I am. And so I think that's really important to identify too, that we're not talking about choices here. That I think if we think of it that way, we think of the things that we can't choose for ourselves, we just do, and we feel. It's a way to connect too. So I just wanted to
yeah,
make that clear.
no, and that is an
Okay.
excellent point, because I think the word choice, I think of it in kind of that way of, this is who I am, and I'm going to choose to either follow the norm and go outside of my natural inclinations. So let's say that for someone who is it's LGBT and they're raised in a very strict household that would not be accepting of that as a child, they can choose whether or not they would allow themselves to be honest about who they are, telling people who they are, or they are going to choose to try to live in a lie. And so
Sure.
I think that's where that's what I was thinking of with the word choice, but you make an excellent point, because there are many people that believe that being gay, lesbian, especially transgender, is a choice, and that it is not. It is who we are born as, and it is a choice of how we choose to present it to other people.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. How you actually express it is that choice. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm minorly obsessed with the girl that I watched on that show, because she could literally switch from male to female looking in just a hairstyle, or and with the clothes she wore. And it was amazing. And she had, you could watch her. She was modeling, and she's like, this pose is female, this pose is male, and it was just like, it was like an instant. Most of us couldn't do that. It would not be something we.
And
could
that's
easily...
that's my question: is why do you think you were so drawn to it? Because, I'll let you answer that before I throw in my theory. Why are you so enamored of that?
I thought it was the coolest thing because she was embracing who she was.
Yes.
And she said, I am female. These boobs are real. Like, she pointed to her boobs, dude, these are real. But she was so confident in the fact that she could be both male and female in appearance, and that she could date both male and female and explore those two sides. And I actually found that very, very admirable, because it was like somebody who could just stand there. And she had her own insecurities because her father didn't accept who she was and had pretty much left her, not spoken to her for 10 years. And she was part of the journey she was on was to connect with her dad. And so that is something I am drawn to, people who know who they are, who are confident in saying, this is who I am. I've accepted that. And whether or not you accept that is your choice. It's not mine. And so that's why I was so infatuated with it.
Yeah. And I think it's exciting to see somebody be able to kind of perform around that spectrum too, along that spectrum that we were talking about earlier. I think when we see somebody breaking out of that binary, and even though we might not even know that we have that binary thought in our head, when we see somebody do that, it's automatically kind of exciting and interesting, because art naturally, human beings want to explore. They want to learn. That's our natural tendencies. So why wouldn't that be true when it comes to sexuality and gender too?
Right. And if we can let down our natural, the guards that we put up unnaturally, I should say, what we should accept and what we shouldn't accept as normal, it's you can go anywhere. And so
sure.
I found, I like I said, it was so cool to watch this, and I love talking to people who know who they are, and it can be anybody. It can be a straight white male, and it can be a transgender male to female. I want to hear about it because that's who I am, and I want to see more people doing that in our society and in our gaming world at the very beginning, to learn about these people and to talk with them and to find out what makes us different and what makes us the same. So, yeah, my soapbox. I'm getting off it. I'm getting off my soapbox.
No, it's a good one. Stay on it.
Marconi, did you have anything else with this one?
Just whatever differences you are, at least enjoy the similarity that you like playing a video game together.
Yeah.
I mean, that does it. I mean, at the basic level, I mean, you're still, you'll still do the same DPS. You'll still heal the same, no matter what differences there are in your life. So, it's all right as long as they can still heal and still tank, still DPS. Go ahead.
It's so true. It's so true. Jerry,
that's not why you're in my raid.
Yeah, exactly. Jerry, did you have anything else with this discussion topic that you wanted to dig into?
I would just say it's Katie, right? Is that what we're calling?
We use Katie Derry as our generic anonymous name
Katie
for females.
Derry.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. I would just say to Katie Derry too that don't think that one person's actions is indicative of an entire culture as well. I mean, don't think, because from this she's saying, does this say something about our culture, in general? And I definitely think that there are problems, but one person's sort of ignorance, if that's what it ended up being, that doesn't mean that for that one person there aren't 50 other people who would gladly take her in as a pen pal, know? So.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I hope that we're going to be doing another round of the pen pal sign up soon, and I hope that she will sign up, and I hope that I fully expected that even if there was nothing relatable in terms of like sexual preference or that kind of thing, that people wouldn't always connect anyway, because there's so many things that make us our individuals that there's just things that will not allow us to connect with each other for whatever choices. And so it's hard for me not to get a little bit bristly when I feel like, is this a situation where the person that she was writing with was looking for, it was a male, because she said he he looking for a romantic partner, didn't get it, and therefore left.
That might have been it. Yeah.
And it could have been that. And it literally just wasn't, you could have just been not his type. And if you were straight, it would have been not his type or something like that. That's so
happens to the best of us.
It does. It certainly does. But I fully expected that there would be certain percentages of people who just didn't make a connection in the pen pal program. And that's life. We don't connect with everybody we talk to. We don't have a relationship built with everybody we talk to.
Sure.
So, but I think this really sparked such a cool discussion around this whole part that I'm glad it was written. I'm glad that we got this in this letter. And I'm really excited about where we're going to be heading next, which is going to be in our think tank question. But first, we are going to talk just a little bit about our sponsor of the show. So just give us a moment here, Jerry, while we talk about our friends at Doghouse Systems. And I'm going to bring this up here if I can do this. There it is. Oh, pretty music. Doghouse Systems is our sponsor of this show, and you may have heard of them before because we talk about them on every freaking show we do because they're awesome. We love them.
Yes.
We love them. They're the best gaming PCs you can get out there. This show is being run on a Doghouse system currently. It is running great, except for some people's internet connections, I think. Saying there's some drop frames in there. I don't know. But They are the makers of the best gaming PCs on the planet. You can get your brand new gaming system by going to doghousesystems.com, specking out the best system that you're looking for to fit your budget. They have laptops, they have desktops, and they are Blizzard gamers. So if you know what games you're playing, you just tell them, I'm playing StarCraft, I'm playing WoW, and I'm playing Hearthstone, and it will be installed for you before it gets to your home, and then just plug it in and play. Their service is excellent. Their people are amazing. Why wouldn't you want to check them out? I don't know why.
They even have the custom sides they have the Horde and Alliance side art on the side of the desktop towers.
They do.
I was looking at that yesterday.
They may also have a Triple T panel on there. That's just what I'm saying. So
They might. I think they do.
So if you're like the mega fan of Triple T and you want to have it on your Doghouse system, you can certainly do that. And you can go to doghousesystems.com, enter the code TTT at checkout. That gives you double the memory on your brand new gaming system. I would like double the memory. I think you would too. Right?
Yeah, but absolutely.
All right. Well, go ahead and check them out. Thank you for sponsoring our show, Doghouse. We love you guys, and we thank you for supporting our sponsor. All right. It is time to dig into the think tank.
Torn between options? Let Triple T help you sort it out.
Okay. So if you hadn't always already kind of figured it out, this show is going to be a little bit more adult in content, especially the upcoming question. So this is our disclaimer. The following question does contain some adult themes, including sexual preferences and sexuality, and talking about sex. So sex and more sex. If you haven't already heard this and you are listening with your children in your car or wherever you are, you might want to turn this one off until it's time for you to listen without the kids, because this one's adults. We're telling you now. You've been warned.
My ears.
Your ears. We're talking about sex tonight. Okay.
No. Not that. No.
Nervous giggles after. Okay.
I know. We're going to talk about sex now. Okay, here we go. Here's the letter. Stop it. You're so weird. Okay, here we go. Hello, Triple T. I'm an avid raider, longtime WoW player, and lover of your show. I am emailing you because I'm not sure how I got where I am now and how to get out. After listening to many a podcast and YouTube video about the hilarity of RP servers and Goldshire Inn, I specifically decided to create a tune and see it for myself. Quickly, I started receiving whispers, seeing things I could never have imagined, and slowly but truly started participating myself. I don't know why I did looking back, but I started investing more and more time into it. I dropped out of my Mythic raid team and have built long-term emotional relationships with the people I ERP with. Now I don't know how to stop. I'm connected to these people, the excitement from it, and I'm spending way too much time doing it. I receive a lot of mocking from my guild friends for doing it, yet I just keep going. My question is, what causes this to happen? Why can't I stop? I'm hoping your unbiased words will help me in this situation. Regards, Shane. Okay, so...
Why would you want to stop? If you like it, don't stop. Sorry.
Well, you know what, though? That is actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry.
Yes.
What harm is... So is there harm here being held with erotic roleplay in the game?
I don't think so. I mean, it depends. It's contextual. So my personal opinion is if you're not hurting anybody physically or emotionally, then, whatever floats your boat. But I do think that it's natural to want to explore in this way, especially if this is a game that you love. And this is, I don't know. I don't know much about ERP, but I do know that there's nothing wrong with experimenting in that way. And I definitely think that Shane is expressing some internalized shame about that.
Yeah.
Because it's different, right? It's not something that many, I don't know. It's not something, it exists on that like normal or deviant kind of binary, right? So if people don't understand it, maybe they don't really know what goes on in it. So they tend to think there's something wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we internalize that and then feel shame for it. It sounds to me like Shane's enjoying himself. So,
right.
You know, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I know that there are some issues with like maybe underage, you know, people who are underage having access to this or something along those lines. But as long as you're being communicative and you know who you're, you know your parameters, I don't think there's anything wrong with role playing in that way.
What I find really fascinating about this whole thing is that we as gamers who connect with people across different parts of the world, parts of the country, you know, when I tell people I have friends that live in, 5-10 different states that I'm going to go see at some point, people think that's weird. Like, we defend having relationships with people that don't require me to go down to the local bar to hang out with them. Mm-hmm. And so we spend our time as gamers defending the relationships that we've built, which people oftentimes call fake or not legitimate or unreal, or you're just, you're just talking to some stranger on the internet. There's no connection there. And then I think about something like ERP in Shane's situation, where he's connecting with a group of people. He's building relationships with a group of people. The activities that they're engaging with is the thing that we go, that's different. That's weird. But if you're an adult, most likely you've had sex in your lifetime. You have dealt with it. You have thought about it, and you have done it. So why is it that it becomes a deviant behavior when it's something that we all do anyway? We just don't talk about it.
Well, and this is something that I think I just reading this email, the way that Shane's talking about building emotional connections and talking to people in ways that that he had never experienced outside of the game. I hear people talking that way of everybody who plays WoW, who enjoys it, or gaming in this way, talks about it that way. And so it doesn't the erotic element of that, I mean, all across the board, it's still the same. You're still making these connections. And so I guess with this is kind of the cross to bear as a gamer, is that you're always kind of trying to explain it away, right, to people who don't understand. And so that's what I would tell Shane is, Shane, first of all, is feeling shame. I would tell Shane to try to understand and articulate what it is about this ERP experience that he enjoys. And then once he can articulate that, to tell people that. And if people are, making fun of him or whatever it may be, say, hey, if you're my friend, like, this is what I'm getting out of it. This is why I enjoy doing it. You might not know that there's this element involved that is really interesting. And once, I mean, if that person would come back at you and still make fun of you, you probably don't want to interact with that person anyway. So I think once again, it's just about explaining,
Yeah. Because it is something that involves intimacy, which is not something that in a polite society we talk about openly. So what are we doing? We're talking about it on a podcast with a bunch of people.
Everyone out there.
But talking about it's important, definitely. So.
Exactly. Yeah. But in a normal, like, even in the chat room, and I'm not making fun of you guys, I'm not calling you out, but you're making these little innuendo jokes because it's an uncomfortable topic. It's something that people don't know how to necessarily talk about. And the discussion just in the chat room just shifted a little bit to talk about and debate what 50 Shades of Grey has meant to some people. Geri just rolled her eyes on that one.
No, I didn't roll eyes.
No. And I support you on this because I find it very frustrating when you have a society that is so buttoned up when it comes to sex, even though we put it in our movies and we put it in our books and we do all that kind of thing. But you get a book like 50 Shades of Grey, which becomes so popular and so mainstream that my husband, who works at a female-dominated company, sees that these people who he works with have the book on their desk and reading it on their lunch breaks. It's this very difficult, like, it's such a disconnect for me that I think that we want to talk about it. We want to discuss it. We want to find ways to communicate about sex a little bit more openly, but we don't know how. And when people do things like ERP in the game, that they do that they have these relationships where they're creating these scenarios and they're exploring the things that are interesting to them, and they're doing with other people in words, which is like we don't talk about sex normally with our partners when we're like with them.
Right.
That is such a leap and bound beyond what most people do. So I think that partly is what makes it uncomfortable. Would you agree?
Sure. Oh, yeah, 100%. Before I get back to what you're saying, I do want to address what Dravin Dresden, I believe, said in chat, which is really important. And I'm glad that I was caught on this, because I don't want to carry this assumption that noticing that BDSM, that community, that there is a difference between hurting and harming, that sometimes hurt can be, that people accept that. And I definitely want that to be clear, that I have many friends involved in that community too. And definitely it's okay to hurt as long as there's consent involved in that and you have your boundaries and all of that. I just wanted to jump in on that.
Yeah, there's actually a very strong movement these days that I've been hearing about, 50 Shades of Grey, and that they're the people who are actually part of the BDSM culture say that this is a complete farce. It is not representative of their culture at all, and it is actually making people misunderstand more what it is that that their lifestyle is.
Yeah, I mean, many of my friends who are involved in this have said that it's a misrepresentation, and that it actually presents more of an abusive relationship that's kind of something that's harming their community or the perceptions of their communities. I mean, I don't really have, I can't really say that's for those people to kind of get into, but I just do know it's a really horribly written book. I mean, but that's where I'll take it, I guess. So
I didn't mean to call you out. I was like, I felt so bad when I saw, I have not read it. I don't want to read it because I don't want to perpetuate that side of things. I want it to, I don't think that it is a good representation of the culture, and therefore I don't want to support it. That's me personally.
Which is a really important subculture in sexual studies and things like that. I mean, this is a very empowering community for a lot of people who have been through trauma too. I mean, it's very empowering for them. So I definitely think that is not the best representation. But what you're getting back to your question, the core of the question isn't the book. It's why was there such an obsession with this book, and why are we why do we see so many people reading it in public and things like that? This is something that I guess, even though I think the book is horribly written and misrepresentative, I do think that it's creating conversations that are interesting, that's making people talk about sex in ways that we wouldn't normally talk about. Sure. So and that's always important, because that will open doors as well.
Conan, you've been trying to say something here. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it does. You're saying it creates conversation. I'd heard, the slang term for 50 Shades being mommy porn. These soccer moms, or just regular middle class moms, or whoever, that have never experienced anything adventurous sexually with anything BDSM at all. It's brand new territory, and it's something that they never thought about, and they're learning, and that kind of they're exposing themselves to it, and they're it may lead to them having an interest in it and trying to figure out, and of course it's a masterpiece of fiction. I don't know why there's so much hate about 50 Shades of Grey. They don't make terrible books into movies, and in fact it comes out into a movie next month, and so I don't know why there's so much hate. I haven't read it, of course, but I think it kind of goes into it, kind of ties in that way with our questioner, because he had never been exposed to ERP before, and he's like, guys, what is these guys talking about? These people talking about stuff on the internet. I'm gonna make fun of him and all this stuff. And then he gets into it, and he's like, and then he learns, and he experiences. He's like, actually, this is kind of cool. And I have a friend who does ERP, and it's more, it's kind of like a writing thing. They just they enjoy crafting and just thinking about it. It's not always a sexual thing. It's also, you're creating a world. It's like we tend to focus on the E in ERP and not the RP. It's role playing. Sure. It's creating a story. It's being creative. you're just having sex while you're doing it, or or whatever. So
well,
I mean,
and there's intimacy as part of
yeah,
that. You
there-
know, you're
yeah.
building a relationship with somebody else, or somebody else, plural. If you're doing this, if you're doing these, making these stories with multiple people, it just happens to be that the subject matter is talking about things that are either erotic or sexual,
Sure.
and not all the time. You know, there are people that go into the ERP situation and you go into Goldshire and hang out, and that's all they want to do is just get it on, get it done, and get out. And but what Shane is experiencing is these relationships that are being built, and you know, how many people out there, you know, I mean, I'm expecting you guys to raise your hands out there who have said, you know, on a drunken night playing WoW, have said, "Oh, let's go roll level 1 tunes and go gun in Goldshire," because we think it's funny. And I've heard hundreds of people say this, that we did this and we had a blast and it was fun and it was silly. And as long as nobody, you know, exactly what Jerry said, we've talked about this on the show before, you go do you. As long as you're not causing harm to yourself or someone else, physically or emotionally, then you do you. You be yourself and you enjoy it. So
yeah, and it also goes back to, it's your $15 a month.
Yeah.
Spend it however you want to. If you want to sit in Goldshire or wherever and role play when you're not raiding or something, that's your money. That's your decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's I think it's not good for you know, mocking and stuff. It's, you know, as you know, there's a difference between like friendly jabs and then like seriously being hurtful and mean. And as long as Shane's friends, you know, it's like, man, yeah, I know it's got this stigma, but it's actually kind of cool. Let me tell you about this thing, and try and, you know, if they want to be brought up to speed on it, and kind of is like, yeah, no, it sounds weird, but I like it. So it's, you know, just have a more understanding would be better.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the side of it where he feels like he can't stop.
Yeah.
Because I think that is a very important part of this email.
Yeah.
And this is, what I wanted to talk with Jerry about specifically is why people engage in things like role play or erotic role play in replacement of other relationships in their outside life. What is it that can cause this kind of situation where you feel like you're this is all you want to do, you don't want to do anything else? And this can be extrapolated to things like porn addiction or other things like that as well.
Well, I mean, I think at its core, it's feeling some sort of shame about sex in general, not feeling the ability to express yourself sexually, especially when we're talking about, you know, face-to-face interactions. There is a level of comfort and safety in being able to role play behind a computer screen if there's some things that you are curious about, but you don't want that, I don't know, danger element, I guess, of it being in real time. So I get that, and I think that's healthy. But I do think that when it gets to the idea that he's feeling kind of addicted to it, I would say anything that feels good, we want to do a lot. I would say, just in general, right? That could, across the board. I mean, so it's all about trying to figure out why you like it so much, and trying to kind of center around that feeling. And then you do have to sometimes think like, what can I do to rein that in a little bit? And I mean, I definitely don't think it's about restraining yourself. You know, you should feel free to express yourself how you want. But, you know, I don't want to, even though I want to play Hearthstone 24/7 every day, all the time, I don't do it because I have other responsibilities and things that I want to focus in on. So with anything, it can be any kind of addiction, although I don't want to call this an addiction, but anything that you compulsively want to do, it's all about self-restraint. So it's finding a balance, I think, for him. I think that what saddens me about the question is the idea of why can't I stop, I think is more, I think I should stop because people are telling me to stop. I'm not so sure that Shane is asking why he can't stop because he thinks he's doing it too much.
Well, he does say that
he does say it.
Yeah, he does say I'm spending way too much time doing it.
Okay.
And so if that is the case, then it, you know, and he has made changes. He's dropped off of his raid team in order to focus on this. So
Right.
his behavior has been changed based off of his experience here. So
Mhm.
I am with you. I don't know if I necessarily want to call this an addiction, but I think that there's a more of a compulsive aspect to it.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think if you maybe treated it more like, put some structure behind it. If he's got a
Mhm.
set, if it's just random with random people, but if he's building these relationships with a couple different people, try and structure it like a raid. Kind of like he dropped his raid team. Well, say hey guys, let's meet up on Tuesday or Wednesday, and not have it be a constant thing. Try and put some borders on it. Not constrain your behavior, but just you got to have priorities. You got to go to work. You got to
Mhm.
sleep. It's just that you got to have just a little bit of structure to it.
Yeah.
I think.
I think you're right. I mean, we've talked about this on the show before.
Mhm.
I think that I think he has an additional bit of challenge here because it's not necessarily that ERP only occurs in World of Warcraft. If you've connected with these people, it's very easy for you to exchange phone numbers for texting, to be able to use Google Chat or GroupMe or email or all of those things that can connect with you outside of the game. And so with that, I think if that's happening, then it's probably a situation of setting some boundaries, and
Yes.
some limits to yourself to say, like I know when I'm at work during the day, I can get a text message from Mark Honan and we can be talking about the show while I'm at work, and I probably should be doing something else. And and he does the same thing with me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've never been at work and texted. Never. Never. I always have to concentrate on work.
But I would say it's nothing different than you and I talking to each other via text message. For me to
Mhm.
get messages about stuff related to the guild from people in GroupMe while I happen to be at work. We have these outside interests that can reach us outside of the game. And
Mhm.
he hasn't said this in his email, but I would bet money that that's happening in some way, or he's
Sure.
spending time outside the game writing or emailing or that kind of thing. And so when you say you can't stop, it's literally starting to bleed outside. You can't raid outside of World of Warcraft. You got to sit down, you got to make the time, and you got to raid. But you could do anything related to ERP or relationship building outside the game. So that is an additional limitation that you just have to kind of accept to say, okay, I'm going to turn my phone and put it into silent mode for this time period where I'm at work. So then I can't talk to Mark Conan, which I don't. But I started putting my phone, if I was going to go lay down and take a nap or when it's time for me to go to bed, I put my phone in silent. I don't let people interrupt me anymore. Because it's time that I need to spend. And so that's what I did. And I think that it's been a good thing, because what would happen is I would lay down and take a nap on a Saturday, and then my phone would start buzzing, and I would wake up, and I would start talking to people, and then I'd try to lay back down again, and then I'm talking to people again. And it's just silly. And it's like, no, you have to split this time off to make your time separate from that. So it's setting self-limitations as well. But what I feel like Shane needs to accept himself in this behavior as okay and treat it like the fact that you were texting a buddy or you're sitting down to raid with your team. You're doing an activity that you love and you're not hurting anybody. But Jerry hit it on the nose, I think, is that there's some self-shame happening and beating up and saying what I'm doing is not accepted by other people. And then, so how does he help people understand beyond the, well, why don't you come try it yourself kind of approach?
Well, like I said before, I think the first step is being able to understand why he likes it himself so much. I mean, he hasn't really articulated what it is about ERP that really excites him or interests him. I mean, obviously that it's sex, but what about that experience is compelling to him and keeps him coming back? Once he's able to get to that, then he can start to see that, it's okay even though other people might not quite understand it, at least he can understand it. And there's plenty of people, I'm sure, who he's erotic role playing with, who can understand it as well. So he does have a community of support there, right? And maybe talking to other people that he ERPs with and see, have you had the same experience too? Do you feel this kind of shame, or do you ever, question why you're doing it? So talk to other people who are in the same boat. And then, if he feels comfortable, then can start articulating to other people why, he feels that way. So
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot. Mark Honan, did you have more that you wanted to talk about with this question?
Not really. We've kind of touched on all the things, all the kind of major areas. If he likes doing it, then you can still, it's not weird. I've role played before, not really ERP, but I've role played before on other games. But if you're enjoying the storytelling and the connections and the imaginative qualities and the creativeness of it, then keep doing it. Just don't let it take over, like with every other thing that we enjoy. Don't let it overtake you.
I don't know the answer to this question, and maybe someone in the chat room can tell me. But I'm wondering if there is kind of a general feeling in the role play community, because the role play community is much more encompassing in the World of Warcraft. If there is that feeling of that, is ERP a subculture, kind of that like redheaded stepchild of the subculture, or is it something that is considered to be an integrated part of role play? Because I think if I were to predict, I would say that ERP is kind of that they're the ones we don't talk about people. They're the ones that do their own thing and never the twain shall meet. Or that you have to put a label on it and identify, I am an RPer or I am an ERPer, but I'm not both. So and maybe it's a spectrum as well, but I think that there's going to be some questions there. And in the chat room, both
they're
20
very...
and Bim, roleplay community for the most part looks down on ERP. Some RPers are really awful towards ERPers. Again, guys, as we talked about earlier, if you are in parts of these communities, putting labels on people just because they do something different that you don't either identify with or understand doesn't necessarily make it wrong. And that is something that if there is one message that I would hope that if you listen to the show tonight, you could walk away from, is to consider the labels that you place on people when you talk to them. Sure. And every label that we all put on everybody, because we do it, and it's not something that we have to physically remind ourselves not to do it. We have to physically say, I am labeling this person. I should not be labeling this person. I should therefore be treating them like a person. And, so that is the message that I hope that Tauren Think Tank episode 131 brings back for people and says, this is the message that I hope that you take away today. And a whole lot of other messages that Geri was so kind to share as well. I mean, you made me think in a lot of different ways tonight, and I think that goes for a lot of the people who are in the chat room as well. So
I do have to say, your chat room, they are totally intelligent, just like really on it right now with their conversations. I wish I could jump in, but
you know what? And I wish
are.
that you had an opportunity to sit and talk with them, because they are the most welcoming and understanding. They may have alternate points of view and differing in opinions, but I have never seen a group of people who have been more accepting of their others' differences and the ability to have a reasoned debate about a topic without it devolving to name calling and personal attacks. We really have a very, very, very special community with Tauren Think Tank, and I'm very proud of them. So thank you for noticing.
Of course, very impressive.
Much love for the Moo crew.
We love our Moo crew.
Absolutely.
Tons and tons. And with that, we are going to start winding down and getting into a little bit of I've got some slash moves to read right now, so I'm going to do that right now. Our first one is from Mammoth. He says, a big slash moo for Jan Gasm on the birth of her new baby, Liam, the savior of the Alliance. May he have Varian strength and Anduin's good looks.
Which is unfortunate because Jan plays Horde.
I know. I don't know.
It's not unfortunate, but I'm good friends with Jan, and I actually got to see her back in the summer in Chicago, and and I didn't know it, but like 2 weeks late, like 2 weeks after I saw her, she told me that she just found out she was pregnant. So when I was giving her a hug, I was giving a hug for two. So I've already given baby Liam a hug when he was itty bitty. So yeah, big congratulations to her, and yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you. That is really cool. You want to read the next one?
Yeah, from Starlord XS. /moo to Narendaria. I don't know how this is pronounced. For being entertaining, fun, and thought-provoking.
I think you were close enough.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of vowels and a lot of N's in that. So.
From Brian Kickbush, I give a /moo to my new guild, the Tadpool, and all my new guildies. I hope to play more often now that I've transferred my 90.
Nice. This is from Tex. I wasn't sure where to send them, and I've been meaning to for some time now. But a big /moo to all my guildies in Bloodthirsty Naga on Horde Emerald Dream. They do so much, and every passing day I'm more and more proud to be their guild leader.
Aww.
Yeah.
/moo to my best friend and roomie, Vi. She's been fighting depression and subsequent feelings of apathy for years, which has all but stopped her from doing anything creative. However, she is finally getting inspired again. Over the past few weeks, she RP'd with some new friends in game and has been creating art and other new things for her RP guild. I'm so happy to see her enjoying making art once more. From Tub Stout.
That's great. And here's another one. It says, Hi, Jules and Marconin. Here's a final /moo to my close friend in-game Crittenden, who had lost his battle. I remember the exciting time we had in Burning Crusade days in the Shadow Moon quest line, where I got the Lone Goron bow of the Torn Heart, which symbolically parallels real life. I've appealed to Blizzard to find a way, if I could, to have the item restored so I may honor his memory, but unfortunately, citing policies, they aren't able to. Triple T brought him great enjoyment, and I know he would love to see many more of your shows of awesomeness. Here's a raise of Lavastone Jack, followed up by a Blackstone Coffee if it hit you too hard. Onward to 6.1. And that's from Jazzism from Spirestone.
Oh, I remember Crittenden, and I send a huge /moo and condolences to his family. Mm-hmm. That breaks my heart. Thank you guys for sending those messages to everybody. Oh, okay, that one stung. It's hard. Oh, okay. You can find our show on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. You're listening to it on the download. We thank you for wherever you found it. And we ask that you take just a few minutes and give us a rating on iTunes or on Stitcher. You can do that pretty easily, and it gives us a little bit of a boost on the show. It lets people find us. We love that. Yeah, that's all the great stuff when it comes to the podcast. Geri, where can people find stuff about you outside of the show tonight?
Let's see. Well, I'm on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So like we said, newly on Twitter at Geri Lawson, Geri, Geri. I have been published in like very small academic presses that nobody cares about, that are just like journals taking up space in a library that nobody goes to anymore. So, I mean, there are, I do publish on comics. So if anybody's interested in that, I have, gender queer theory articles in relationship to that. I don't know. I'm just now getting into like this whole social media thing. So I'm just introducing myself to 2011 basically right now. So I'm not in too many places, but I am always playing Hearthstone, and I'm starting to play World of Warcraft. So you could find me there too.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure that we connect your Twitter handle on ours when we put out information so that people can find you and follow you on Twitter.
Yeah.
Again, it's at Geri Lawson, GeriLawson, where you can find her. Geri, you are a fantastic guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on here.
This was so fun. I could talk about this forever. So I'm glad that we were able to do this.
I would love it if we can bring you back another time for another topic, and we can dig into that more.
Do it.
Let's do it. And if you happen to be going to Cal State Long Beach,
come to my classes.
What kind of classes do you teach? What are the names of your classes currently?
Oh wow. Okay, so I'm teaching 6 classes this semester, which is insane. Yeah, I don't know. I need to learn to say no. But I teach so like freshman composition, so freshman essay writing. But we talk a lot about the issues that we just talked about here. I always center my classes around popular culture and issues of gender, race, whatever. So I teach that. I teach in the criminal justice department too. I teach criminal justice writing, which is really interesting and fun. And then I teach an upper division grad class on writing as well. And that's more, I have a little bit more kind of leeway with that. And then occasionally they'll throw me a little lit class here and there. And so I'm able to look at some literature, which is nice, but not this semester. So, but yeah, it's fun. I love Cal State Long Beach. It's a great campus. So I'm happy to be there.
Awesome. Well, man,
Yeah.
I wish I could go back to school and have you as my professor. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I know.
Thank you.
I might have enjoyed my composition class if that were the case.
I hear that a lot from people. People don't like their freshman composition classes, I guess.
Well,
So.
I got to do a paper on Magic the Gathering back then, so that was pretty
Nice.
cool. So
Nice.
she let me do that, and I was like, awesome.
Yes.
You
I
are
do love
lucky.
that my students write about gaming too. A lot of them will write about that. So I always
Awesome.
get excited. Yeah.
That is awesome. So again, we will find another time to have Geri back with us. Thank you again. We're gonna lead this one out now. I'm gonna adjust my volume so I don't blow it out the speakers. Here we go. That's a little low, isn't it? There we go. Tauren
Yeah.
Think Tank is a proud member of the Signals Media All-Star Network, including 2 new great shows like Realm Maintenance and Extended Maintenance. Find out more about other great shows in the network by going to signalsmedia.com.
Yeah, big congrats to Ro on joining Signals Media, buddy. Good to have you. Our voiceovers are done by the 2 Uber mages, Arcane and Marconin. You can find us outside of the show on our website, taurenThinkTank.com, which has all of our podcasts and information on how to get in touch with us.
Thank you to all of our patrons. The show will always be free, and your support helps us do even more. If you would like to become a patron of the show, you can do that at patreon.com/TaurenThinkTank.
You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TaurenThinkTank. You can also find us on Twitter for the show at Tauren Think Tank. You can find Jules at Jules RPG and Marconin at Marconin Wow. You can also chat with us on our forums. Come on, guys, give those boards some love. And you can find those boards at forums.signalsmedia.com.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, chat room, for being amazing as you always are, and in handling some of these discussion topics and giving us some amazing counterpoints. You guys are always amazing. If you guys want to be a part of the chat room, you can do so every Saturday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time at twitch.tv/Tauren Think Tank. We love seeing you here. We love seeing new people here who come and they stick around. And so that is awesome. Geri, thank you so much for being
Thank
a part of
you.
the show. We are so blessed to have the opportunity to talk to amazing people like Geri, and we will be having more guests coming soon. We're just getting those finalized this week, probably.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Jules, one last thing. If people wanted a t-shirt from us, where do we get a t-shirt from?
Oh, you can get your triple t-shirts at slashloot.com. There's 3 designs to choose from, different shirt colors. Thank you for putting that in there because I didn't do it.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right, it's time to go. For me, for Marconin, for Geri, for the entire chat room. Until next time, /moo, everybody.
/moo.
Tauren Think Tank. We make your problems less bad.
This podcast is a part of the Signals Media All-Star Network. For more information on this and other fine shows, go to signalsmedia.com. It's okay to stick our stuff in your ears. Really?
Really? And that's a show.
That's it.
That was awesome.
That was
really
amazing.
fun.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's always fun to talk about stuff like this, but I have to give it to you, Geri. You're like the easiest, most engaging guest. I love it. It's like you're so
Whoa,
easy
thank
to
you.
talk to. And it flowed so perfectly. Like you were feeding me stuff. I'm like, I'm taking that and run with it. So-
Softball. Hit it out of the park. Come on.
Oh, it was great. It was so great. In the chat room, I I can't
chat
thank
room
you
is
guys
so
enough.
sweet.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you,
they
chat
really
room.
are the
Thank
best.
you.
Look at them. They're giving you all the props, girl.
No,
Yeah.
they're awesome. So much intelligent stuff. I'm going to scroll up and read all of it after this. So
Yeah, these guys are super smart, and
Totally.
and we have a very very diverse group of people, men, women, old, young. We have
Awesome.
gay, we have straight. It is just all over the board, and I love it. And it's just we have a very cool community here.
So cool. Yeah. I hope to talk to you guys more. They're awesome.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay.
All right.
What type of decks do you like to play on Hearthstone, Jerry?
Oh my God, you're getting me started. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, I didn't want to ask during the show because it would have derailed the whole conversation.
oh, we would have only talked about that. So, I'm super into my mech mage right now, which is the most fun I've ever had playing a deck. So it's just really, obviously really low minion heavy, and then with two really strong legendary, really fun deck to play with, and I'm doing the best I've ever done playing it in ranked, so that's good.
Nice.
And then I'm just it's nice. I'm just now starting another paladin deck. I don't know if you I was watching the Fireside tournament. I forget what it was called. There was this big one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, it was like a sporting event for me. I streamed it all day, Saturday and Sunday.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was so fun. But Faramir is like a pretty good Hearthstone player, and he had this Paladin deck that was just awesome. So I finally am trying to kind of put that together, and I'm going to probably do that later tonight. So we'll see.
I've got a mech mage deck, and it's kind of a beginner mech mage deck, and I'm
Really?
it's kind of hit or miss. I don't think it's not quite complete yet, so I may have to pick your brain sometime about that, or just keep looking.
Yeah. No, I'll send it to you. I think I posted something about it on Twitter too, because I was just so giddy one night playing it.
Oh, okay.
It's Strife Co. I don't know. You can get it on Hearthhead. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you a link. Yeah.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Really fun. Super fun.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, because I'm a mage by trade, so I love my mage deck, and
Okay.
my Shakadin deck that I've had for months still does pretty well. Love my Shakadin deck.
That one's fun too. Really fun.
Yeah. I have to. I'm not really hardcore. I get at least rank 20 every month, so I get the card back. But I think one month I got up to 16. It was a really awesome month.
To 11 last night.
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
Freaking, I took a picture of it.
Rank 11, you are serious business.
I'm telling you, it's this mech mage.
Man.
Into it.
Man, I've got to get that deck and get better at that, because it's. I love Hearthstone. I was a big geek into Pokemon and Magic the Gathering back in high school and junior high. So it's right up. It was as soon as they announced it, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome."
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really cool. I Hearthstone has not hooked me. I've tried. I've played. I mean, we were with a whole group of people. I was with the people from the Angry Chicken podcast back in Nerdtacular, and I have some friends there, and we were playing, and Jocelyn from the Angry Chicken podcast was trying to teach me more stuff. I'm like, okay, how do I play this? She's like, well, you should play a hunter deck or a warlock deck, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I just kind of mucked my way through it and had fun, but it just hasn't hooked me. I guess it's just because you have to have. Now that they've introduced more of the decks and the different, expansions, there's more card variety, but it seemed like there was just like, if you want to win, you can win with this deck, or this deck, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Totally. And I do think that the Goblins versus Gnomes cards really changed the game and made it a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot more random elements added to it too. That really, it's not as predictable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what happens every time I'll go to a convention with a group of nerds who are playing it, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll play on my iPad for a while. That'll probably be what happens again this summer. Oh, gosh, that's awesome. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. We'll cut the stream in just a moment and say goodbye to everybody. So you guys rock. Again, thank you so much for being here tonight. And again, Jerry, thank you.
Yes,
We'll
thank you.
keep you on Skype, but we're gonna just cut the stream short. So,
Okay. Okay.
All right, guys, have a great week. We will see you next week, and /moo.
/moo, guys.